Uh, I believe that I would be irresponsible at this point if I didn't come to you and say there is an unfortunate reality. There's an undeniable reality that if all else is equal, if you can do it safely, we're probably better off if you vote in person in November, or hand deliver your ballot and track it if voting in person is not a realistic or safe possibility. Now, I don't want to encourage anybody to do anything dangerous. And of course, voting in person, there can be funny business, and voting by mail, there can be funny business. But my sense right now is that your vote is more likely to be counted and counted correctly if you vote in person. And we now have an additional reason to suspect that it is important to consider voting in person if you can do it safely, of course, which is that more and more data firms are predicting that we could have an extremely chaotic situation where, because we know that those planning to vote in person are more likely to vote Trump and those planning to vote absentee are more likely to vote Joe Biden, there's a very good possibility, based on analyses by a number of political data strategy firms, including Hawkfish, that we may well have a situation where Trump is slightly ahead on election night and will almost certainly claim victory. But as the Biden absentee votes come in the 24, 48, 72, 96 hours after Election Day, Joe Biden may well win. Now, we don't know that that's going to happen. Biden might win outright on election night and grow the lead as mail-in votes are counted. Trump may win outright on election night by a lot, and then the margin might shrink as absentee ballots are counted, and Trump will still win. That's a possibility. But Hawkfish is now saying, and they have an upcoming interview on Axios on HBO, which we'll see, I believe, over the weekend. The CEO of Hawkfish, Josh Mendelson, says there is a scenario they are projecting called the Red Mirage. And the Red Mirage is the idea of a red victory on election day, which will merely be a mirage, which will evaporate, right? Continuing this mirage metaphor, as we approach 100% counting of ballots, including absentee ballots, at which point it may actually be Joe Biden who has won. And it looks like it could take five or so days. Trump is talking about we might not know the results for months. Trump said we might not know the results for years. Trump even said we might have to redo the election. No, that's not true. But it could be 5 days, 5 business days even, which is really like a week. So this is the scenario that will most fuel Trump claiming it's rigged. If Trump is ahead on election night and really does fall behind after all the absentee ballots are counted, Trump will claim that it is rigged. And in fact, in the intervening period between Trump claiming victory on election night, as those ballots are being counted, you are likely to see two things, neither of which is particularly good. Number one, you are likely to see a wave of lawsuits at the precinct level, at the county level, at the state level, from the Trump campaign trying to stop the counting of absentee ballots. It may not work and you won't see it everywhere, but it is almost a certainty that if Trump narrowly wins on election night, I should better say, is ahead on election night electorally because of small margins in a bunch of states, which is very plausible, that Trump will do everything he can to stop the counting of absentee ballots using all sorts of different arguments, which we will talk about on a different day. And of course, those may ultimately be decisions made by Trump appointed judges. That's one thing that will happen if the Red Mirage scenario is a reality. The second thing that will happen is Trump will claim victory and will say they're trying to take it from me with phony absentee ballots. And it is very plausible that this will lead to violence in the streets from the Trump gun people. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on that because we've discussed it before. But this gets me to the position that I would say, I want to choose my words carefully. I believe that all else being equal, if you can do it safely, it's ideal to vote in person and even vote early in person if you can. A lot of states have early voting. That would be the number one way. Vote early and in person. Fewer people usually voting early, shorter lines. Then it would be vote in person on November 3rd if it's safe, if you're not high risk. I understand not wanting to do that because of the risk of coronavirus. Then it would be mail in, but you hand deliver the ballot to a ballot box. And then fourth would be you just mail it in and we hope USPS lawsuits don't stop the counting, whatever. No matter what, vote. But this is how I would sort of rank the efficacy of those voting options. A lot of what's going on, we just can't control. We're activating around stopping destruction of the post office. The damage may have already been done by Louis DeJoy, but ultimately we can't really control it. We can't control voter intimidation. We can't control voter purges. We can't control foreign meddling. We can't control hacking of machines. Individually, I mean. Obviously, we can be activists to shine a spotlight on these problems. We can decide how we choose to vote. And I am leaning towards some kind of in-person voting, ideally early, if not on November 3rd, is probably the best way to both increase the likelihood our vote is counted correctly and decrease the probability of this red mirage scenario. Let me know what you think. I'm on Twitter at @Pakman.